The 1999 PS1 game Silent Hill not only set the template that many survival horror games followed, but is also one of the most reference-filled video games ever made. There's so many, I've broken them into sections. First up is the street names. While walking through Silent Hill, you'll notice that most of the street names are taken from famous authors of horror, sci-fi, and crime fiction. Some of these names tie into other references, which I'll cover later. For now, just the names. Elroy Street is named after James Elroy, who wrote The Black Dahlia. Bachman Road is named after Richard Bachman, who's the pen name of Stephen King. Levin Street is named after Ira Levin, author of Rosemary's Baby. Midwich Street wasn't named after an author, but it was taken from the book The Midwich Cuckoos, which became better known as the Village of the Damned. Midwich is also the name of the elementary school. Finney Street is named after Jack Finney, author of The Body Snatchers. Matheson Street is named after Richard Matheson, author of Hell House. Block Street is named after Robert Bloch, author of Psycho. Bradbury Street's named after Ray Bradbury, author of Something Wicked This Way Comes. In central Silent Hill, Simmons Street is named after Dan Simmons, author of Hyperion. Wilson Street's named after F. Paul Wilson, author of The Keep. Crichton Street's named after Michael Crichton, author of The Andromeda Strain. Sagan Street's named after Carl Sagan, author of Cosmos. Kuntz Street's named after Dean Kuntz, author of Phantoms. In the resort area of Silent Hill, Sanford Street's named after John Sanford, author of The Rules of Prey. Craig Street's named after Kit Craig, author of Gone. The only oddball was Weaver Street. There wasn't any author that matched up with the name, so most likely it was named after Sigourney Weaver, the star of the Alien series. Brands. Littering the landscape of Silent Hill is a mixture of real brands and parodies of real brands. The two biggest ones are the mega soft drink companies, Coke and Pepsi. The famous whiskey, Jim Beam, and the even more famous whiskey, Jack Daniels. Parodies. Outside the movie theater, there's posters for the movies Crusher Dan and Shoot. Crusher Dan is the poster for Die Hard 2, and Shoot is Raiders of the Lost Ark. Poston Market, Boston Market. Minor Beer, Miller Beer. Queen Burger, Burger King. FedEx Espresso, FedEx Express. Leafo Magazine, Life Magazine. Although the cover is not from Life, but a famous Guess Jeans ad with Anna Nicole Smith. Towards the end of the game, you pass the Vestal Gigastore, a parody of Virgin Megastore. The gas station is supposed to be Shell, but the S is worn off, so it's just Hell, which has darker implications within the game. Electronics company Iowa is parodied as Hawaii. A bag of jelly beans is obviously Jelly Belly. McBurger's design and color scheme match with the old style of McDonald's. The convenience store 8 is mimicking 7-Eleven. Konami Burger's a burger joint named after the game's production company. If you get the alien ending in the game, they spoof the Mars Attacks trading cards. The first one Harry's shot by the aliens, and then the design of the alien ships. Even the positioning of the aliens in the cockpit is the same. When the credits roll in this ending, it matches the text crawl from the beginning of Star Wars. Direct references. In news boxes all over Silent Hill are papers with the headline, Bill Skins 5th. This is lifted directly from the paper in Silence of the Lambs. The long-running British tabloid The Daily Mirror is backwards. There's a partially destroyed bookstore named after Mark Twain. Flowers on Lexington is a real store in New York. Mushnick's Florist is the name of the florist in the original Little Shop of Horrors. In the window, they're even advertising Audrey Jr. When you beat the game, you unlock the Hyper Blaster, which is modeled after the light gun from Konami. The diner in the beginning of the film is the 5-2 Cafe, which was the diner from Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers. Inside the diner is the pinball machine, Medieval Madness. Also inside the diner is a poster that says, Study, damn it. This is a picture of a young Stephen King holding a shotgun. The picture was from 1970 and made for the University of Maine student newspaper. When you go to exit the diner, there's the cover of the second album of Portishead. The first album contained the track Sour Times, which heavily influenced the theme of Silent Hill. Inside the school, there's a list of teachers. 3 of the names are Moore, Ronaldo, and Gordon. This is a direct reference to Thurston Moore, Lee Ronaldo, and Kim Gordon from the band Sonic Youth. To reinforce this, you get a key to the house labeled K. Gordon. The chainsaw store is Cut Right Chainsaws, which was the store in Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The theater, the Metropole, is from the Lamberto Bava film Demons. One of the iconic images from the film, the Demon Girl, is all over the side of the building. In the bridge control room is a copy of the Playboy issue, The Women of the U.S. Government. Lisa Garland is wearing the same outfit as the nurse in a very famous scene from The Exorcist 3. In one of the rooms in Nowhere, there were the words "Help Me" written on a door. They look very similar to the way the same words appeared on Regan in William Friedkin's The Exorcist. Kazanian Crystals is a reference to Kazanian Antiques from Dario Argento's Inferno. In a callback to some of the authors, the Motel Norman is a reference to Norman Bates from Psycho. Later in the game is a hallway that's eerily reminiscent to the hall inside the Bates home from the movie. The picture of Alessa looks exactly like Florence Tanner from The Legend of Hell House, which was based on the novel Hell House by Richard Matheson. The Twisted Carnival is similar to the one from Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes. The parasites that take over the minds of certain people seem to be influenced by the 1951 sci-fi novel by Robert Heinlein, The Puppet Masters, which influenced the 1955 Jack Finney book, The Body Snatchers. Dahlia Gillespie was originally named Daria, after Daria Nicolodi, the former partner of Dario Argento. They changed the name to Dahlia, after The Black Dahlia by James Ellroy. On that same note, Alessa was originally named Asia, who is the daughter of Dario Argento and Daria Nicolodi. The doctor, Michael Kaufman, is named after Michael Hertz and Lloyd Kaufman, the creators of Troma Studios. Lisa Garland is partially named after the nurse from Lucio Fulci's Zombie, and the last name is from Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz. They gave her this name because both characters lost their way in Dreamland. The three keys to the eclipse, the lion, the scarecrow, and the woodman, are a reference to The Wizard of Oz. Psychic TV is a reference to the experimental music group. The bridge is the Orridge Bridge, named after Genesis P. Orridge from Psychic TV. The FAA, complete with a pig's head, is a reference to the Terry Gilliam film 12 Monkeys. There's a store called Algernon, which is a reference to the book Flowers for Algernon. Things and Stuff is a direct reference to the store located in Garden City, New York. The motel sign is molded exactly like the Route 40 motel in Columbus, Ohio. Bowl at Freewood Lanes is taken directly from the bowling alley in Cleveland, Ohio. Bet's Big T is a restaurant in Chiefland, Florida. Cospa is a Japanese clothing company that specializes in producing costumes for cosplay. Elks Bingo is a reference to the Elks Lodge, which is well known for its bingo halls. Julio's Auto Parts is an auto parts store in Chicago, Illinois. It'll Do Dance Club is a dance studio in Dallas, Texas. On a Bench is Gangsta's Paradise, the song from Coolio on the Dangerous Minds soundtrack. Towards the end, when Alessa transforms into the goat-headed demon, the shape of that is the pagan deity Baphomet. The book, Rosemary's Baby, was about a young girl who was going to give birth to the devil. The twin feeler you fight under the shopping mall tunnels underground and pops up, like the graboids from Tremors. The float stinger you fight on the rooftop hangs in the air like the giant moth on the cover of Dean Koontz's Phantoms. The tablets you collect for the puzzle in Alchemilia Hospital are the cat, the hatter, the queen, and the turtle. This is a reference to the characters from Alice in Wonderland. In the Midwich School, there's posters for The Martians Have Arrived, which is a foretelling of the alien ending. There's also a poster for A Woman Came Down from the Planet Vulcan, which is a reference to Star Trek. In the police station, there's a poster for the 1889 World's Fair in Paris. The opening zooms in on Dahlia Gillespie's house, which looks a lot like the house in the painting Christina's World. A segment of the painting The Last Judgment by Michelangelo can be seen in the school. The bloody hooks and chains in the other world are a reference to Hellraiser. The name of the martial arts studio is Bruce Lee in Chinese. The cafe, A Movable Feast, is a reference to the book by Ernest Hemingway. Dahlia turns around like Chris McNeil in The Exorcist. The 5 keys that unlock the doors in Nowhere are named after Olympian spirits in the Grimoire: Arbitel, De, Magia, Vitirum, Haggith, Aratron, Ophiel, Bethor, Phaleg. Each of the symbols of the spirit shows up on the TVs within the Vestal Gigastore. There's more references to Stephen King, the book Pet Sematary, and the poster for the 1976 film adaptation of his book Carrie. As a tie-in to Silent Hill, Carrie's about a girl with telekinetic powers, much like Alessa. On a garage door is the word Red Rum, which was taken from Stephen King's The Shining. The game also has a few things lifted from The Mist. First is the mist itself. Silent Hill's covered with this strange mist that brings with it all sorts of unnatural creatures. The pterodactyl monster that attacks Harry in the beginning of the game is similar to the monster that breaks into the store in The Mist. In the beginning of the game, Harry's in the 5-2 diner. He finds a notepad on the lunch counter and writes a message. He says, "Someday someone may experience these bizarre events. Hopefully they'll find my notes useful." Compare that to this passage from Stephen King's The Mist. "There's a restaurant here. A typical Hojo restaurant, with a dining room and a large horseshoe-shaped lunch counter. I'm going to leave these pages on the counter. And perhaps someday, someone will find them and read them. More inspirations. The game is borrowed from a lot of things, but it seems to have especially borrowed from two major films. The first is the 1990 horror mystery, Jacob's Ladder. The movie's about a Vietnam War veteran, suffering from shell shock and dealing with the death of his son, and having delusions. The look and feel of Silent Hill is taken directly from parts of Jacob's Ladder. There's the shifts in reality, the monstrous beings, the chain link fences, the spinning wheels, the nurses with parasitic growths, and the twisted hospital. In the end of Jacob's Ladder, we find out the entire movie was all in his head while dying in an army field hospital in Vietnam. In Silent Hill, if you get the bad ending, you find the entire game was in Harry's head as he lays dying in the Jeep after the crash. While Jacob's Ladder was used in Silent Hill, it continued with other installments, especially Homecoming, which revolves around a war veteran returning home. The other movie that greatly influenced Silent Hill was Kindergarten Cop. They based much of the Midwich Elementary School from the one in the movie. The exterior entrance to the buildings are the same. Inside, the layout's different, but there are numerous posters that are the same. The first aid locker is the same, and the school bus parked outside is number 7. Oddities. Originally, there were a few more Stephen King references. There were some unused textures found within the disc. The Bakery Cafe Cat's Eye, which was a collection of short stories taken from Stephen King's Night Shift. There's a storefront for Misery named after the book. On the front of a garage is a red and white 58 Plymouth Belvedere, which is the car from Stephen King's Christine. It also matches the movie poster. You can almost make out Christine in the grill. And another reference to Jacob's Ladder is the billboard for Hell, which was on the subway in the movie. On the first aid cabinet is Hell is Coming. In the cafe is also a picture of the Virgin Mary crying bloody tears. At the end of the game, Cheryl poses a lot like Diane from the poster for Trainspotting. And for good measure, the game has a cat scare. Is this everything? Well, it's everything I could find. I'm sure there's probably a few that snuck past. The sequels also contain an influx of references, but they don't seem to be quite as loaded as the original. Silent Hill is a phenomenal game, and all the references show just how much effort the creators put into it. It's a shame Konami forgot all about this, and decided that instead of making Silent Hills with Guillermo del Toro and Norman Reedus, they'd make the game into something even scarier and more bizarre. Silent Hill Pachinko.